Here is how I see the three different phases of e-commerce. So the first phase I see, and this is where everybody starts out, this is dropshipping. What I call phase one is where you typically are dropshipping, you are selling another brand's products. What comes with that is that you have a low risk, but also you have low reward with that as well. Many people I speak to, especially during the last few months where I've been doing a lot of research into how I can help people, many people that I speak to start here, but end up also getting stuck here as well. They don't ever progress past this point, which is okay. And that's absolutely fine if that's where you want to be and where you want to stay. However, a lot of people that I have been speaking to don't want to be stuck here. They want to be able to grow. However, the way that I look at high ticket e-commerce is that in some rare cases and in some rare markets, you can stay here. You can absolutely stay in phase one as a dropshipper, but you gain a lot more by moving to the secondary and third phases. What I do recommend though is that anyone who has a high ticket e-commerce store who starts out, they should start in dropshipping because, as I mentioned, it is the lowest risk. If you make mistakes, which undoubtedly you will, it's going to happen here within this safe phase here. You can make mistakes, you can recover quickly. You don't have a whole lot of capital tied up. And by capital, I mean your own money, your business money tied up. You can make these mistakes earlier on while dropshipping and you learn from it and you move on. I certainly did. I recommend also sticking within this phase for around about 12 months, ideally. You can, of course, stay longer, or you might want to fast track it a little bit if you've gathered all the information that you need. But really, as I mentioned just then, it's about gathering data, about gathering information. You want to have a good understanding of the niche that you are within, the market that you're within. Sometimes it takes a good amount of time to be able to get all those individual suppliers for your store, for your high ticket e-commerce store, and really learn what sells, what doesn't sell, where the opportunities lie. Let's say you enter a new niche and you do happen to get all your suppliers on board within the first 2-3 weeks or a month. If they've all got a couple of hundred products each, or maybe even less, you're going to have a whole heap of products upload to your website, right? Let alone start marketing those products and getting them out into the market, finding different ways to promote them. So in my experience, it really does take around about 12 months to get through the full journey of phase one. So you get enough data points back to feel confident to move into phase two. So phase two, this is what I like to think of as phase two. This is holding stock, right? So this is where you have seen the opportunities in phase one. You know what's selling out there in the market, and you are able to then start holding stock. So this isn't creating your own brand. That's, of course, a hint to what's coming up next. But this might be suppliers that don't dropship. You've contacted these suppliers during the first phase of your high ticket e-commerce journey. Many of them no doubtly would have said to you, hey, look, we'd love to have you on board. We just don't dropship. Do you have a store face? Do you have a warehouse where you can hold stock? And unless you've been able to get around that roadblock, the answer is going to be no. So you wouldn't be able to sell those products in phase one. However, when you get to phase two, it will involve you either, if your products are quite small, maybe you can store products in your garage at your house, or the way I like to think about this is it's a forte into having a third-party logistics warehouse. So not only are you getting these suppliers on board, which you may not have been able to get before, you're also getting a soft introduction into a 3PL and what that would be like as well. There's also tactical advantages here of holding your own stock as well. So with your existing suppliers that you have been dropshipping with before, the ones that you know move a lot of stock frequently, you can, of course, negotiate with them to say, hey, look, I'm prepared to invest in your stock, to hold more of it, to have more responsibility. What about we talk about margins? What about we talk about the rates that we originally discussed, and we can go back and revisit them? So if you can even move the needle a little bit there, it's of course more money in your back pocket, which you can do X amount of things with that money. You also get faster and controlled dispatch as well. So if you've got those products with you in your own garage, you know exactly how long it's going to take to be able to get it out of your door. As soon as the courier is here, as soon as the label's printed, you slap it on and it's gone, right? You can advertise that as a benefit on your website. So rather than you and all your competition, saying, 1 to 5 days dispatch time because you've got no idea when your supplier is going to actually ship the product. You've got control of that now. You can have that product in your hands or in the hands of your 3PL who actually works for you. So your 3PL, if you do decide to use one, once you start going down this route, you're going to learn through this soft introduction how they work, what their turnaround times are. You can have a service level agreement with that 3PL to say, whenever we send you an order, you have X amount of time to be able to process that order and get it out the door. If they're breaking that service level agreement, then they're breaking their contract and you might move on to another one. But this SLA, service level agreement, should be something that you both agree on that is reasonable. And once you know that, then you could use that on your website through your marketing. We are guaranteed to get your order out the door, by 1 p.m. the next day, for example. That's giving more value to your customers. And that's an edge you have over your competition who are also selling the same product. Because in phase 1, you've got a whole sea of competition. Everyone's selling the same thing. You're trying to differentiate yourself to be able to win your customers' business, which is hard to do in phase 1 because you have the same level playing ground. But in phase 2, you change that playing ground. Yes, you have a bit more risk on board, right? You've got to front up some capital to be able to hold that stock. However, you've mitigated that risk as much as you can by using that 12-month runway in phase 1 to know what sells, what doesn't sell, and what you should be investing in. That's why I don't recommend just jumping straight into phase 2. So you get your soft introduction to 3PL. You also get the added benefit, if your suppliers don't already provide this to you, of having customer pickups. So if you've got a big bulky item, it's quite likely that your customers might want to save some money on shipping costs if you're passing the shipping costs onto them, or if you have a product which, let's say, might be sensitive in regards to time. Let's say, for example, it's a commercial product, and if their commercial products that they've been using breaks, they need to replace one straight away. Otherwise, your customer, they're a business owner, they're losing revenue, they're losing business. They want to get one ASAP. They don't want to wait, 3 to 4 days while it's in the post. If they're in the same capital city that you are, they want to jump in their car, their van, their truck, and go and pick it up the same day. That's something you can offer if you have control over your stock. Sometimes suppliers, and I know in my 10 plus years of experience, this is definitely true, suppliers don't like you sending your customers to their warehouse. And you might not necessarily like that either, because all of a sudden your customer, is talking directly to your supplier, and then they're wondering why you're the middle person there. It can get uncomfortable, right? So if you can find a way that your 3PL is happy for you to have customer pickups, that's definitely an advantage. And also, you are able to see more opportunities in this phase, right? You have invested in these products. If you're holding them, or even if they're in a 3PL and you live in the same city where that 3PL is, which I highly recommend in the beginning, you're then more exposed to those products and you can use them for marketing purposes, right? So you get to hold the product and use it and create demonstration content with it, which you might not have been able to do if you're purely just drop shipping it. One caveat to phase 2 is, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, is that you can skip this phase potentially if you already have experience taking a high ticket e-commerce business from phase 1 all the way to phase 3. However, if this is your first time moving from phase 1 to phase 2, phase 3, it's I think almost a must that you go through this, because it's not a hard introduction to a 3PL. You're learning about pallet spaces, you're learning about pick and pack fees, you're learning about all these things on a small scale. And finally, phase 3, this is, you guessed it, this is your own brand, and this is products which you have manufactured for you. You've got full control here. So obviously the margins, you set them, and you're going to have, no doubt, way higher profit than what you would before. So you might be getting 20, 30, 40% margins when you're drop shipping. You can get way more than that when you are importing the products yourself. So you're setting that recommended retail price and you're differentiating yourself from the competition. So you set the margins at higher profit. So more profit means you can hire more, you can remove yourself from the business more, you can invest in better systems, and the more you do that, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So you are able to build more of the business by buying back more of your time and focusing on other areas of growth of the business. You control the stock demand as well, which is something that's also true within phase 2, but you do this on a much, I suppose, deeper level, especially if you have seized opportunities within your markets. Through phase 1 and phase 2, you're drop shipping, you're holding stock, you've got at least 12, maybe 2 years experience, 12 months to 2 years experience within selling these products. You've seized the opportunities, you've gone to manufacturing overseas somewhere or even locally, and you have acted upon those opportunities. You've had customer feedback saying, yeah, I love this product, but I wish it had this feature. Your customers keep asking for this type of product, but your existing suppliers don't have it. Then you go out and fill that gap. You fill that void with your brand, okay? And so therefore you're seizing those opportunities. You can then sell in other marketplaces too. So your local dropship phase 1 suppliers might prevent you from selling in certain marketplaces. If you've got your own branded product, you can sell wherever you want. There's no limit to that. There's so many opportunities here that you can act upon. You build a saleable asset. So the products that you import, that you bring to the market, they are completely separate from your retail store. They're completely separate from your e-commerce business. They are its own brand that sits in your store that also sits beside all the other top brands as well. That's a completely saleable asset that you have full control over. And you can do what you will with that. You can choose to wholesale that product too. We have our own brand of products, and we have our product in a number of stores, physical stores, which we wouldn't usually be able to reach otherwise. So customers who wouldn't shop online, they would prefer to go into a physical store, talk to someone, feel the product. We've got our products in those stores all over the country so that we are getting additional sales, additional revenue that we wouldn't be able to get if we just kept it all in-house, right? So you're increasing the size of your total addressable market, your TAM. So yeah, that's how I see the 3 phases of dropshipping. As I mentioned, a lot of people I see are really stuck at that level of phase 1. They don't have the roadmap to be able to move to phase 2 and to phase 3. It is scary. I completely understand. I've been there 10 plus years ago when I first started. There was no one really talking about this. And through all the courses and mentorship and everything that I've gone through over the years, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars doing this. No one's really talking about it on the same level of what I've had to figure out myself. So if this is you, if you are in high ticket e-commerce, if you are dropshipping currently, I'd love to know which phase you are at. I'd love to know where you have found success and what might be holding you up as well. So leave me a comment, shoot me a DM, and if you've got value out of this, give us a like, a thumbs up, and a share.